Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. This is another exciting edition of the Dr. Ini Adesanya show. And as usual, when I come on, I discuss things, anything that will make SMEs thrive. All right. So SME, small, medium-sized enterprise. But I always want to start by saying a big thank you. Thank you to everyone that has actually, reached out, commented, complimented. I love constructive criticism. I love that. If you feel that there's something out there that you really want it to be tweaked, fine. Thank you for that. Thank you for your comments. And, thank you for being part of this show. We're moving on, and it's been very exciting. Today I almost didn't make it, but I wanted to be, I wanted to really be consistent with meeting every Tuesday, right? Of course, there's going to be some adjustments during the summer. I have some days that I will let everybody know when I'm not available. But for now, let's just, get on with the show. All right. So I'm Dr. Ini Adesanya, and again, wonderful being here this evening. Now, I know that some of us, we have issues with policies and, what's really going on around us. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. I always tell you that whenever I'm speaking, I'm not here to go for one party over the other. No, it's what impacts the small and medium-sized enterprise, right? It doesn't matter who's in power. We're looking at the policies right now. But sometimes you might say, okay, who hears my voice? Who is speaking? Who hears my voice, right? How can I get my voice out there? And, today I'm just going to talk about that, right? That is possible and is very doable, that you can make a change in policies, right? You can make a change. You can actually say something and make a change in policies. I'm not just saying that it's just, just going out to, scream or, doing something that is not, legal. You have to make sure that in every way you're compliant. In any way you want to, show that this is not, you don't agree with this certain policies. Now, a lot of SMEs don't know that they have a voice. And today, I came across this article, and I believe it's by the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. Is one of the articles. I just bumped into it and I said, wow, this is something I would like to share on my platform, because it's very important for people to know, right? Now, I know that a lot of times, I think that platform really focuses on minorities, which is awesome, but everybody and anybody can benefit from what I'm saying here. Okay, so first of all, what do you do if you want your voice to be heard, right? You're a small business, you're a medium-sized enterprise, and you want your voice to be heard, right? One of the things you should do is belong to a group. I'm going to talk about the different levels. And the national level, there are so many groups out there that actually speak for small businesses. Again, this is not about political affiliation. I have to stress that. It's just about what policy affects you as a small business owner, right? So one of the ways is to join a national platform, right? People, sometimes there are national platforms that will say, you know what, I want to hear your opinion, right? And national platforms might actually have, centers in different regions, and say, okay, this is a national platform, but we have a center in maybe the eastern side or the western, wherever. Just, it's good to keep abreast with those things, right? So the very first is to really seek up. I'm not gonna, when I say first, I'm not really putting it in order. I'm just saying that one of the things you should do is not, I'm saying one above the other. No, I'm just starting with making sure that you belong to a national organization. There are so many out there. I don't like promoting any national organization on this platform, or any organization or anything really. Usually there's a process I go with before I start mentioning names, or I go about before I start mentioning names. Even that when I talk about softwares, I say do your research. When I talk about specific item I said, do your research. Now, if you're looking at going to join a business organization that is like business group, owner group that is national, do your research, because sometimes you want to join that group, but it's not really aligning with what you want to achieve, right? What you want to achieve. So I would say that before you join the national, just make sure that you choose which one works for you. All right. And of course, when I say which one works for you, see the objectives of the organization. All right. Yes, national is really huge, right? A lot of time national platforms have a huge impact, but make sure you're joining the right national organization for SMEs, or make sure. Now, another way is joining the states, right? You know that this is United States of America, right? And when I say that joining the states organization, there are some policies that are at the state level, right? Yeah, we have national level, but there are the policies that actually impact you at the state level. So also, as I spoke about the national business owner organizations, join the states. When you're a member of the state, you make organization, even the national, you can speak up, your representative, within the organization, you can speak up, say, okay, this is what I'm expecting, this is what I want, this is what I disagree with. If they have a petition that they're writing, oh yes, I'm interested, I want to sign. The signing the petition is not just to be mean or something. No, it's because it impacts your business, right? Right. Example, if they have maybe in a business that has that you sell sales tax, right? I know that or you sell a product that has sales tax, not that you sell sales tax. I meant that you have a product that you have to charge sales tax on, and a lot of people will say, you know what, I don't want my consumers to pay that high amount of sales tax, right? Maybe your state is increasing sales tax on your product because of your industry, right? As a business owner in that industry, you can actually say, oh no, this is not what I want. This is not what we want, as because you belong to, a state business owner group. All right. In that business owner group, there are so many areas, you can have service industry, you can have, industry for, for product, but it's a voice. I mean, remember, my goal today is just telling you how do you make your voice? How do you have your voice heard? It's not just, again, just sitting down and say, oh my goodness, let things change. It's good to wish or hope or pray for things to change, but you have to do something about it, right? And one of the things is that, speak up, just think of it in your company. Sometimes there are company policies that have been in place for such a long time, and some of those policies are not good. They're not good. I mean, not that, they could be better. Let me not say that they're bad. No, they could be better. And usually, sometimes when they have unions, even if you don't have unions, sometimes a manager or a human resources manager come and say, you know what, this way is not the best. Can we change it around? Or it could be your product manager coming to say, oh, this one, or you can actually say that, okay, maybe there's something we could change here and there. But usually, somebody within the company would usually say that. It doesn't have, and you don't have to be a million member on 50,000 number of people in your company. No, a small business, I always say that encourage communication. It's very important. When you encourage communication, that back and forth rapport between you and your staff is very important, because with that, people bring ideas and they could be there's room for improvement. All right. And so that's the state level. What about the local level? Right? Every level, membership, very important. Membership of business owner group, even at the local level. Right? Some of us, yes, we're busy, but you know what? I always say, if something's important, you make out time. Honestly, if something's important to you, make out time. We have families, and I know that, we have, kids, nephews, family members, moms, we have, dads. If something's important, you remember their birthday, you want to go for their games, right? You want to be there for the events, right? So if something's important to you, you make out time. So yes, you say, you know what, my voice is not being heard, right? So you should step up and say, you know what, I want to find out what's happening in my locality. So maybe your county. I know that there's some organizations that are county based. I want to find out what's happening in my area, like in my state. Okay, things like that. How does that affect? Right? How does it impact? And when you're part of this organization, remember, I mentioned local, I mentioned state, I also mentioned national level. It makes a huge difference, right? Because you know what's going on. You can voice your opinion or and how it impacts your your industry or your company, right? You might be one of those that can speak more than the others, and the rest will say, yeah, he or she's saying the right thing. All right. So local level, you know, state level, and of course, national level. All right. Now, another way you can have your voice heard is, I know I've mentioned this several times, but I'll mention it again. But I know in one of my programs, I've mentioned this about joining your industry specific organizations, right? Join your organizations, find out what is happening, right? When you join your organization, usually organizations can speak for their members, right? You want to join your industry specific organization. If you're in the service industry, maybe you're into maybe plumbing. Make sure you're in the plumbing organization, right? If you're into fashion, or make sure you're joining that. I know some people get too busy and say, oh, I can't join that. I'm too busy to get into that. But be part of the group, of the organization. But I would say that it's important, right, for you to do that. You know what's going on in your industry. And if you don't agree with that, you guys can be part of it and say, you know what, this change. And usually these groups can actually take it to a different level. They can actually take this to maybe to the state on your behalf. I know you say, but if that's the case, why do I have to learn to join the state? But guess what? When that information or that issue is taken to the state, maybe the industry specific organization says, you know what, we feel that maybe an example, this tax rate is so high. You make some changes, but now it's very high. And many of our customers will actually go to somebody else. That's on the industry specific level. But guess what? At the state level, somebody has to make a decision and say yes or no. So imagine you're there. Your presence is in that state organization, right? And something like this comes up, you are there to advocate for yourself and for other SMEs that are, that are in your industry. So yes, don't think, oh, but I'm already in the state in my organization's platform, like I'm already there. But you want your voice to be heard, even up to the national level. Right. So it's very important, because I often hear SMEs say, oh my goodness, they're not listening, they're not, it's impacting us. What are we, why are they doing this? What, have you spoken up? Right? Have you actually said, okay, this is what is not working for us or for me as an SME? Right? Have you spoken up or spoken out? Have you said something? Did you say speak out? Have you said something? Right? There's somewhere I know speak out. I don't want to go into who said that, who did not, but there's a term, speak out. Have you said something? Right? Of course, there are channels to say that, but have you said that? All right. So as I said, make sure make sure you join these organizations, right? And make a difference. Now, another way is actually meeting your local representative, right? There are some benefits that are out there, and you might ask your local representative, okay, I feel that I'm not getting what is required. Your local representatives can be as low, when I say, as local as possible, councillors, right? Mayors, just like that. So sometimes people always think of the national level legislature. Yes, not that those powers don't exist, but even at your local level, right? Things can be done really within your county. Things can be, you could do things, the county, the councillors, the mayors can do something, they can approve, and they say, okay, this is okay for this is, and as long as you belong to this county, this can happen. I will allow this, I will not allow this, right? So it's not wrong for you to meet with your local representative, right? Stop thinking that, okay, it's only when you get to the national level. As I said, all those are important, the national, the state, and the local, important. But when we're looking at local state legislature, I even go more, because when we look at legislature, we're talking about maybe going to the state house, your representative on the state level, like state house level, right? Those are your local representative when it comes to the local level, right? But we can look at, okay, even beyond that, when I talk about the local level, I'm going down a little bit more to local representative, the councillors, and, but even beyond that, remember I said, join a membership in the state or local, but this one I'm talking about going out to meet them. It's good to go out and meet them and, have a meeting with them, right? And say, okay, we want to set up a meeting to see my mayor, want to set up a meeting to see this, to see that. All right, it's very, very important. Okay. Another aspect, or something else that you can do is meeting. You can also meet even your representative, even at the federal level. That's why they are there. Your representative at the federal level. Remember, the other ones I was talking about, the federal, the state, I'm talking about joining. Remember, I talked about joining organizations that are representing you nationally, small business organization on the national, state, local level, and then also the industry specific. Now I'm talking about, stepping out and meeting with them, right? Those that are these are groups, but these ones are representative. The local, meeting with them, setting up meeting with them, right? Setting up meeting with your at the federal level, right? This is what I'm referring to, and that's, as I said, this is a very wonderful article that I came across, and I just believe that expanding on it would make a difference to anyone watching this program, this show. All right. And then the next level is, understanding. You have the knowledge, right? Understanding policies. Now, I know that this might not be a strong area. The other areas are not really difficult to, get into understanding those. But when it comes to policies, I know sometimes is a challenge. And really, the industry-specific membership actually breaks things down. But I always say that work with an accountant that can actually work with your company, so that they can actually explain this to you, and then you can run with it, right? You can run and say, okay, yes, these are the new policies. I'm finding some issues, and you can, relate with your, again, state organization and things, and your local organization, right? Because I know, if I say that you should educate yourself at that level, you might not want to do that. It's not something that is very popular, because I know you went into your business not because you wanted to study policy. I get it. I understand that. Went into your business because you love what you do. That's why the drive was because you love what you're doing in your business. So sometimes when I say that, get the education and things like that relate to your business, it might be a challenge, right? It might be a challenge. And that's one of the things that inspired me to have this program, just to put out educational information, right? Now, most times my educational information is not industry specific, is really general. But I could tie that from what I'm saying. You could, if you have a general information and maybe you speak to your accountant or something comes up, because usually when anything comes up in the tax law, I actually usually tax. I actually try to incorporate it or let my clients know, right? But most of the time, when you're a member of an industry-specific, industry-specific organization, right? Those policies, they'll make sure they explain it to you, right? So sometimes when they send you documents to read and analyze, I would say if you're a member of that organization, say, you know what, somebody should actually break it down for you. All right, somebody should break it down for you to understand what this actually means. Most meetings, they'll just assume. Some people, not everyone, some organizations really, really break it down. But it's very important, for you to actually let your voice be heard, right? And then, of course, we have policies that are on the local level that affect your business, right? Do your best to educate yourself, right? Again, I understand challenging here and there because you really don't like those stuff. I get it. But it's very important for you to have that information. So if you don't really want to, study the new laws and things like that, it's important for you to really, really see what your industry-specific group is doing. Now, usually if having a good accountant, a good attorney that works with you, they actually will tell you that, oh, this is happening. It's good for you to do this. It's good for you to do that. Things like that, right? But it's so important because, again, it's not about complaining that, oh my goodness, my voice hasn't been heard. What's happening with these policies? Regardless of who is in power, what's happening to these policies, right? I ask you, have you spoken out? Did you speak up? Just letting people know, right? It's not just going through the motions of my business, right? It's not just going through that motion of, yes, daily waking up in the morning, getting your business done, going to bed. No, you want to make sure your business thrives, right? And if you want to make sure your business thrives, you have to have the knowledge base to push forward and make sure that your business does well. All right. And so how do you do that? Making sure that, as I said, about joining all these state, federal, and also local organization, industry specific, right? Meeting your representative, right? They are there. That's why they are there, for you to meet them. Then you put them in office, right? I mean, I'm hearing somebody, right? Well, not hearing, but I can imagine someone said, no, I didn't put them in office. I didn't vote for them. This is not what we're saying here. It's not what you voted for, what you didn't vote for. It's as long as they're on that chair, that's what I mean. As long as they're representing your district, they are representing you. So it's good for you to make sure that if anything that if you don't want to go by yourself, you can go as a group, industry specific group in a state. You can go and say, I want to see my national chairman, or sorry, my national rep. I want to see my state rep. I want to go and see my local rep represent. When I say rep, it means representative. All right. So it's so important because you want your voice to be heard. You want your opinion, to be heard, right? You want, it's not just, oh, these people are just passing policies without understanding how it impacts me, an individual, right? As me, a business owner. So you just want to make sure that that is not going to be an issue with you, because you want your voice to be heard. You want changes to happen where policies don't favor you. And let's be realistic now. Sometimes policies favor you, right? They favor us. SMEs, they favor, there's some good policies out there, but when it's not favoring you, you should also say, you know what, there's something wrong here, right? Okay, so just wanted to make sure we understand that. So again, speak up. All right, all righty. So let's go to our questions for today. And let's see our questions for today. So, and then before I go into the questions for today, I want to really stress here that whenever you want to speak out or speak up, please make sure you follow procedure. Make sure you're compliant. Make sure you follow the process that is required for you to speak up as a small and medium-sized business owner. There are policies, there are processes, right? And if you're not sure of those processes and policies, it's important for you to ask your organization and say, okay, what do we need to do? How do we get this out there? Sometimes it's just a letter that can make a difference, or an appointment. that can make a difference, right? It's so important for you to understand the processes because you want your voice to be heard. You want people to see and know what you're doing. All right. So it's very important. And at the end of the day, usually at the end of the day, it might not even be that first letter or something, but at the end of the day, something will change, right? Something will change. It might not be immediate, but as long as your organization keeps on saying that, okay, this is how it impacts, and this is how it affects us. Now, another thing I want to stress here is that please do not, it's not about emotions. Yes, it's not about, oh my goodness, it's not about feeling like, oh, I'm feeling bad. No, I'm not saying that feelings are bad. Don't get me wrong, please. Before somebody said, I said feelings are bad. No, I didn't say feelings are bad. But I'm saying that when it comes to, and business, this like making your voices heard, make sure you have data. All right. Make sure you have data. Make sure you have something to back up why you believe that this policy is negatively impacting your industry, your company, right? Make sure you have some analysis out there. It might not be data of, a data scientist or something. No, just make sure you have some kind of analysis out there to explain your position and say, okay, this is where we were before. Now with this is the result, right? Have data out there, support your position. If you tell someone that I don't want this to happen, I don't want this, the other one is better. Let them see why. Use data, use analysis, right? Make sure that it's not just a letter that's being written. Make sure that you have supporting documents, facts, research, and say, okay, this is why this is not good. Maybe this kind of thing was even put there in the past. One thing, I'm not an attorney, but I read the Internal Revenue Code. I went through it when I was doing my master's in taxation. And of course, when we look at positions, when I want to support position for my client, what I do, first of all, I look at, the private letter rulings, I look at the Internal Revenue Code, I look at Treasury regulation, I look at everything pertaining to the law to make sure, is it okay? Is it okay for my client to take that position? Then, if it's not okay, the next thing I look at is law cases. Why? Because sometimes, the law is interpreted in a different way, in certain way. And because of that, that interpretation, the courts went with I believe the plaintiff or maybe the defendant, one of them, depending on who sued who, right? So it went, what we use as accountants, as tax practitioners, right? We'll say, okay, you know what? Even though the law is a gray area, but because this was won, because this case was, the tax court said, yes, this is the way to go. That is my supporting document. That's my support for my position for my client, for the position for my client. So sometimes, I'm not saying that you should go and get data analysis that is, oh my goodness, I know, I'm not saying that like how many historical, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying, if you can get that, good for you. But if you can't, you look at, sometimes you have seen some cases in the past or something that passed that you saw that resulted in a negative effect or impact because of this policy that they are putting in place. Hope you understand that. So when I say emotions, I'm not saying that emotion, you're not, you should be emotional in life. Please, I'm not saying that. But when it comes to facts, you're supporting your position with facts, with, maybe a case that has happened or some kind of data that was there in the past that supports your position. It's more likely that decisions or policies can change because of data, as opposed to, oh, it's not fair, why are you doing this? No, it's more likely that when you have data to support, right, positions that happened in the past that negatively impacted negatively impacted somebody because of a policy that has been taken or is going to be taken, and there's support to share that this is wrong. You have something to stand on, to defend, all right, to defend the reason that you're coming into their office to say, no, this is not right. All right. So SMEs It's very important for you to have a voice. Just don't sit down, wallow in, oh my goodness, what is happening? Do something about it. All right, do something about it. Okay? Okay, so just wanted to mention that before we move to our question. Okay, couple of questions. Okay, the first one is, I feel that my customers take me for granted. I'm an accountant and I offer free consultation and then they don't patronize me after that. What do I do? Okay, so an accountant, I won't say, well, this is for an accountant. This question is from an accountant, but it could be for anybody in the service industry, right? Service industry. Now, this is my advice, right? A friend of mine, I won't mention her name, but she's even an attorney, and I learned from that. She will tell you that no problem, I will meet with you, I'll consult with you, but she will charge a fee, right? If you go with her, she'll give you a credit for that fee. She'll give you a credit for that fee, but if you don't go with her, that's fine. So I would say when you talk about free consultation, you have to think again, right? Tell them it's free because if it's a credit to you, to them, if they come with you, fine. But it's not free if after they finish speaking with you, they go to somebody else. And of course, they are free. They are free to go to anybody. It's not, it's fine. They're free. But because you have to look at your time is expensive. Whether it's, this is an accountant writing there, but it doesn't matter if the person is an accountant, an attorney, or anybody in the service industry, right? And it's so important for you to look for a way to make sure that that you are getting paid for your service. Yeah, some people can come and just get all the information from you, and then they said, okay, thank you, and then that's it, right? I know some people I know another attorney that says free consultation for 10 minutes. Usually 10 minutes, you don't get anything done within 10 minutes. If you have, by time you 10 minutes, but then I say, I'm sorry. And then the person is forced to pay something, right? So, I like the first one that says, you know what, fine, it's free if you go with me. But if you don't go with me, I have to charge you for my time. And if they, but I'm just asking questions, that's fine, but I have to charge you for my time. So I would say that free, is free. Sometimes it doesn't work at all times. And sometimes when someone that's a service provider really loves or is passionate about what he or she does, doesn't really give so much information. So I would say that it's very important for the person to say, you know what, this one is an accountant, or any person in the service industry said, you know what, fine, it's free if you go with me, but right now I charge a fee for consultation, right? So I believe that's the best way to go. But of course, that's what I would say. If you have any other way, that's fine. But I believe with that, I don't believe a customer will take you for granted if they know that they're paying fees for what you are, paying fees for meeting with you, right? Okay, so I believe that would work. But of course, you could go with the other or another method that says a few minutes for free, because when you say free consultation, I don't know how long or what is the period for this free consultation. All right, okay. The next question is, I'm looking at changing my IT consultant. She's not very efficient. How do I find the right consultant? Okay, sorry about that. Your IT consultant not being very efficient, but I want to say kudos to you for finding that out very quickly. I'm not sure what the person is actually doing, but kudos finding that out very quickly. Now, IT, when you talk about IT, that's information technology, right? Data, your everything about your organized or for your everything about your company is very, 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 very important when it comes to data integrity, data privacy, and all those good stuff. I'm not an IT person, but I use IT, so I know. Of course, we all use it. We use computers, But I'm just saying that these are very, very important, right? You want to make sure your clients or your customers' data, they're very secured. Everything is secured, so you have to do your best. Now, if this IT person is not doing well, I mean, I don't know. When you're talking about a consultant, it means that maybe you outsource the person. Okay. I would say before you find, when you want to look for a right consultant, do your research. Do your research. I know that in the IT world there are some companies there's some security security licenses, that they must have. Make sure you're looking into that to make sure, first of all, they're qualified to be an IT, be your IT consultant, right? Because usually when you outsource, um, when you outsource a consultant, is an office or a company you're outsourcing to usually. So I would say that's what I believe, but you're hiring someone on staff. So I don't know which is the case, but if you're looking at hiring anybody, just do your research. Make sure they're qualified. Make sure they have the security. The company is secured. Make sure that even in relation to this IT consulting, right? Make sure on the flip side you have cybersecurity insurance, right? I mentioned this some time ago, I believe. That is very important. So if you're looking at changing to get a new IT consultant, I would say do your research. Ask remember we talked about industry specific. Ask your colleagues, people, what are your colleagues or your business, other business owners like you, who are they using, right? And sometimes you can come up with 4 or 5 alternatives. Do your research. Right, do your research. Like one of the things I do, I teach. I have really a platform where I also teach the global GIE, Global Institute for Advanced Learning, that I just record courses and I'm still working on updates. Now, before I decided on the platform to use, I did a lot of research. And the thing is that a lot of people that do what I do, or what I wanted to start to record and post. What I noticed is that, they get, I think I came up with 3 or 4 top most platforms. And what I did was that I researched, because everyone said, oh, this is what I prefer, this is what I prefer, this is what I prefer. I think 3 platforms, but I had to see what works for me, right? Based on my objectives, right? What works, what did I want to see? What works for me? And so I had to, I decided to choose one out of them. I mean, I couldn't use the 3 of them, but one out of the 3. But the should I say the funny? No, it's not really funny. The uniqueness of this is that one that used the other 2 said, oh, this is the best for them, and gave the advantages and disadvantages, and they were going on and on. But remember, it's what works for me based on my objectives, right? What worked for me. So for your IT consultant, look at what your other colleagues are using, sorry, not your other, because I will say business owner, not colleagues. Other business owners are using, and then look at what works for you. What are your specific objectives? Maybe yours is really huge on cybersecurity. Maybe privacy is big, or it depends. Of course, privacy is big for everybody, but maybe yours is just at another level. So make sure you are really, really checking out what works for you. Of course, do your research and your reviews and everything. All right. Okay. So I have another question. Okay. It's been 3 years. My business is just breaking even. Okay. Okay, sorry, barely breaking even. Why is this happening? What can I do to improve the situation? I think I have I have a feeling that this question has come to me before, or something similar to this. All right. So what I will say is that, if your business is on 3 years and it's just barely breaking even, I will say, first of all, there could be different reasons. Breaking even means that the profit is just covering the costs. That's what, if those that don't understand what break even means, that the profit, or not the profit, the revenue is just covering the cost. So the profit is just either the person making 0 or just a little, just tiny profit. That's not why you want to do your business. That's not what you want for your business. You want your business to do well. So what I would say is, number one, maybe you're spending too much. That's one of the things. You might be spending so much, right? I will say check your expenses. Are there irrelevant expenses? Are there expenses that you can eliminate? Okay. If you're in an industry that you have to buy raw materials, have you done some research to find out if you're buying it at a very high price? Check your expenses, because you want your revenue to cover your costs, your expenses, your revenue cover all your expenses, and you still make money. All right, that's number one. Number two, I would say, how are you letting people know about your product? Whether it's services, whether it's revenue, are you networking? Are you marketing? What are you doing to get out there? Right? What are you doing? Do people know what you're selling? Even if you don't have so much money, I would like you to go and watch the program that talks about organic marketing. There's a way you can actually market. There are so many ways you can market. Do people know what you're doing? What is happening? So it's very important when I say what is happening, what you're doing, what you're selling. Some people have family that don't even know that they have a business. Yeah, your family should be your customers or your clients. Okay, so we're looking at increasing your revenue, right? Look into how you are selling. I mean, how people are knowing about your product. How are you selling? Are you even selling online? I would like you to go and watch some of these shows that I have, or some of the past shows that actually went through how to increase your revenue and how to reduce your expenses. Very important for you. All right. So there are so many things. I mean, I could go on and on, but I can't really I can't give you specifics, because you're not my client. So, because usually I'll say, come in, let's do an analysis and go through this and see what is really the problem. All right. What is really the problem? So it's so important for you to really sit back and look at your expenses and look at your revenue. Sometimes people are making good revenue, but the money disappears. The money is just gone because the person is not managing the expenses, right? Sometimes the person doesn't have a lot of expenses, but the person is not making a lot of revenue. Okay, so you have to really look at your industry, look at what you're doing, find out, do your research, and I would really stress, do your research. Find out how you can actually market your product in a very good way. Find out what is happening. Maybe there's products out there that are not expensive, as I said, raw materials, right? What are you using, right? Make sure, find out what's happening there. All right. Okay. All right. So I believe that's the last question I have for today. I don't want to, because we're almost rounding up, so I'm not going to say more than that right today. So I just want to give everybody a tip. Every business owner a tip. I know that sometimes that I have mentioned that you have to be intentional about this, and I will speak on that another time, but just some tips on being intentional. Make sure you're planning. Make sure you have your tag. If you want to do something, make sure that, okay, you're planning, you have it written down, you have some goals that you have written down, and also how to achieve those goals. One of the things I said right now with this last question, I said you should make sure that you're cutting your expenses, right? Now, cutting your expenses or reducing your expenses is, you can take line by line item. Maybe you're the one that your company always pays for lunch on a daily basis, that you're spending so much money. But that's one of the ways you can cut down expenses. There is by saying that, baby, your meetings are once a week. You buy the lunch once a week. Okay, many large companies are doing this. a lot of large companies are cutting gym membership. They're doing so many things to cut costs. So my question is, you have to be intentional. You have to look at it. How do you do that? One at a time. You don't have to come up and say, I'm doing, I mean, baby steps. You don't have to, sit back and say, I'm doing so many things once. All right. Anyway, we could go on and on, but I just wanted to make sure that that you understand that you can do that. You can do it. Do so much to make your SMEs thrive. All right. Wonderful being here again this evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. All right. And of course, you can go to my website if you want to appear on this program, and also send your questions. All right. Okay. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. All right. Bye for now. Have a good one.